most of you are in one or another way involved somehow with water. Few of you are already much deeper in the water. But let me make the first observation about the water management. Water management covers too many things, but not very rarely we have all the aspects together. Some of you and many of us have started with water pollution. Water pollution is a very narrow part of water management. It is how to avoid pollution of water, and you focus mostly in reducing the pollution sources. This is part of water management, but is more waste management in essence. Others work with the ecological part of water ecology. And this is much deeper in the sense that the biological, ecological processes are complex, longer, and deal both with quality and quantity, and not only, also seasonalities and many other things. Other work with quantity is water resources, mostly dealing with quantity, how we can guarantee that we have adequate quantity of water, sometimes even neglecting a little bit the quality aspect. So these are different aspects of water management. A proper water management brings them all together, biogeochemical and quantity and quality. We cannot in these days cover everything. Of course, we can touch upon some of the critical areas there. A lot has to do with legislation, with institutions, the institutional aspects. And many of the things we have discussed, and I hear you referring to, which are floods, even scientifically, are different approaches. The aspects, the approach of an engineer, a water engineer, and an ecologist might be totally different on floods. And I can say that we need both. We cannot, we have to be open. And there are different aspects, different approaches appropriate for different conditions. When you are talking about a flood within a city already built, you cannot, unfortunately, you have no the chance to allow the flood to expand in inhabited areas and built areas already. But building hard infrastructures cannot actually protect the area. You have to work upstream. So there are many important areas. For example, 30 years ago, the hard infrastructures were considered adequate. Today, we know that even in countries like the Netherlands, where they have a lot of expertise on that, they destroy the hard infrastructures to allow for the natural expansion of the at the delta area. Still, only few days ago, when we had the big flood here, I I heard the people, scientists and engineers and people from the ministry saying that we didn't have enough strong, hard infrastructures to protect us. So there is so difficult to overcome some of the, let's say, taboos in specific areas. So we are not going to get into water management in cities, and we are going to discuss mostly the situation in rural areas, and in particular in biosphere reserves and other protected areas where obviously the hard infrastructure should be minimal, only in specific areas under specific conditions. We don't exclude that, but we have to be um, closer to the natural function of the systems and the hydrological cycle. As I said in my introduction, unfortunately for us, you will be perhaps the first generation facing such a big change in the hydrological conditions and cycle, with much more frequent periods of water scarcity, and also much more, you know, hard, yes, difficult conditions. Let's call them difficult conditions. The extraordinary, as we say, conditions will not be any longer extraordinary, will be more ordinary. We have with us people, foresters, ecologists, people dealing with buffer zones. All these are important for the water management. Water management is not water per se. It is water in connection with the landscape in the broader interpretation of what a landscape is. We are talking about the functions of the landscape. And the landscape, actually, interpretation of the landscape could help us to understand also the natural processes in an area. So this is something where we can try to discuss a little bit also around Asterusia, and the interpretation of the landscape, particularly as it concerns water forces, water systems, is very useful. Not everything, I mean, who was, somebody mentioned that you mentioned that you have a problem with the tradition versus innovation. This is a logical, eternal problem. Always we feel better, protected, if you wish, based on traditional knowledge. At the same time, every generation introduces new ideas, and there is this kind of anxiety in both, I mean, in old generation and young generation, there is an anxiety about how we can incorporate all new things. We have already anxiety with I mean, we started when I used computers. We had computers uh, big as 10 tables working for 24 hours in order to produce something that we can have in now in our telephone for a few minutes. So this already this is this for me was and is still an anxiety using properly all the new equipment. So this doesn't mean that we should not introduce them. But at the same time, there are many important things that we have to respect from previous generations. And we have to be humble in what new knowledge is. So when we are talking about progress, progress is like a pendulum. We have to go ahead, but also revisit some of the existing wisdom and we not discard it because we think that we know better. Yes, we know better in some areas, but not better in other areas. And we revisit many times uh, innovation. Innovation is positive, but we have to merge it with tradition. Actually, this in our years now, I mean the last generation, gives us more anxiety, even more anxiety, because we see that despite the progress and new equipment, new things, the old big problems remain. The big social problems are there, poverty, all these kind of things. And new problems are added despite the fact that we have introduced new technologies and all the rest. The, the proper approach is to value new technologies in the sense that without them we can do nothing. At the moment, we are in a situation where we need new technology. We cannot address the accumulated new problems without new technologies. New technologies, I said it twice yesterday, enhance the carrying capacity of the systems. In the past 10, 20 households created such a pollution that the nearby river or lake was destroyed. Today we have millions. Even in Athens, we have more than 5 million people, and the water produced in the sewage treatment plant is of top quality. And with a little bit more effort, it can be used for irrigation. We don't use it because of the place where it is. If we want to use it for agriculture, agriculture is far away, and also we need strong and energy consuming pumping systems to take the treated effluent elsewhere. But what I'm saying is that we have dolphins, we had monk seal and sea turtles in the Gulf of Elefsis, a very polluted area. I have tens of thousands of measurements there myself and studies, and we see these improvements within the last 10 years. So we have to use new technology with care, of course, always, And when we get into water management, we need to remember that water is a natural good. It is a good belonging to the society as a whole, to the environment, of course, itself. But the most important is that water is not just a commodity. Water is part of all vital systems around us. So this respect for water, understanding of different types of water, fresh water, brackish water, saline water, all of them are extremely important. And we need to understand that, manage that. I will come to that again. And what you are doing all, teach about water. It is a matter of education, formal, non-formal, and informal, and awareness raising about the importance of water. We have calculated, and I close here, that it's very, very rough, but in cities, at least it is easy to have at least 30% water costs. We are wasting more than 30%. 30% can easily be reduced. And the other thing is that we cannot survive without reusing water, without having reclaimed water for many of the uses. So it was a taboo to use treated wastewater, reclaimed water, regenerated water, new water, as they say in some cases. In Malta, we have introduced with Manuel the concept of new water. And this new water is of good quality. It is the same as the river water, but now instead of having the natural mechanism, they say that takes few months to have a purification, we have it within days. So this is important. Not for not for potable water. I don't suggest, although in Southeast Asia they use it and they bottle even this water. But I'm not going so far. I mean, in our part of the world, we need to use it for agriculture for sure. We have still question marks about micropollutants. We still have about what might be there as a signature, not even of or a memory of pharmaceuticals that we, in one or another way, find their way in sewage, and from sewage we cannot remove everything. But this is rather closer to the fear than to the reality, because even the natural waters may have the same signature. So I can also say that we have volatile chemicals everywhere. Even when you go to the Himalaya, in the snow there, you find very, 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 very small traces of anthropogenic, actually, signature. And now we have also microplastics in amazing, I mean, in so many areas, nanoplastics that you cannot really imagine. So this is the price of modernity, uh, and we have to accept. So I think that the areas that you decide, um, we are going to split in groups, but think what are the main directions you want to work, um, where the emphasis of your smaller group will be on water management, management of hydrology, hydrological, uh, uh, bio, geo connections, more pollution related aspects, more education, more institutions. Think about where and how you can other things also, but from what you have described already, I have identified these four areas a little bit more there.